All right, so I just wanted to talk to you about why I am running for Heart on My Sleeve in the Ballarat Marathon this year, and my general motivations for running another marathon. As some of you will probably know, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's thyroiditis in 2020. I have been struggling with it, with really severe symptoms of it, from about 2017 up until 2020 when I got the diagnosis. So, some of these symptoms are things like hair falling out in sort of giant clumps, um, fatigue, weight gain, chronic pain. There was a period where, every day for almost a year, I just woke up with this horrible chronic pain, which is, essentially, if I'd had a diagnosis, it probably would have been fibromyalgia, arthritis as well. So lots of aches and pains in joints. Just general sort of malaise and lack of energy. Anytime I exercised, it sort of seemed to make things worse, particularly if it was higher intensity exercise. I've always loved running, and this was just something that I couldn't do during this period. Lots of food sensitivities to kind of what seemed at the time like very random and weird things to be sensitive to. There was even a period where the only thing that I could eat without having a really severe reaction was meat. And even then, that was still kind of a little bit hard to digest. And then I also had lots of mental health issues at the same time. So, knowing now what I know, I would have been diagnosed with complex post traumatic stress disorder. So, panic attacks, a sense of being isolated from other people, a sense of being really disconnected from my body and my surroundings, flashbacks, nightmares, all of the things that we kind of normally associate with PTSD, but not from a single event, but from ongoing events. So, what I kind of had figured out by the time I got a diagnosis in 2020 was that there was some kind of a link between my mental health and my physical health condition. I had worked out that by doing things to support my mental health, I could actually reduce the symptoms of my autoimmune disease, even though it wasn't diagnosed when I worked that out. And then once I got a diagnosis, after 3.5 years of really being quite incapacitated, I began to do some further research. And basically, what I got told when I first got a diagnosis was there's nothing you can do, autoimmune diseases are incurable, and you're just going to be stuck like this for life. And anyone who knew me before that would know that I am an incredibly energetic person. I always have a million different things on the go. I'm full of life. I love to jump out of bed in the morning and get the day started and jump into whatever I'm doing. So the idea of not having energy and, not actually wanting to get out of bed in the morning for the rest of my life was just so counter to who I felt I was, and how I wanted to live the rest of my life. So I decided to start doing my own research on Hashimoto's. And what I discovered very, very quickly was that Hashimoto's and all autoimmune conditions are epigenetic. So that means that the genes that are involved can be turned on and off. And, if you want to know more about that side of it, it's something that I now specialize in. So I actually have got lots of information about that in my book, on my website, in blogs and things like that, but which will explain that more. But anyway, the long and short of that is that, yeah, I figured out, okay, if these genes can be turned on, they can also be turned off. And I also found some case studies in the literature showing this have been done, and read some anecdotal stories as well. So as soon as I discovered that, I decided that's what I was going to do. I was going to put this autoimmune disease in remission, and I was going to get back to a normal life. A big part of this for me was really focusing on my mental health. By the time I got a diagnosis, I had managed to get my mental health to a much more stable place. Still had lots of work to do, but I was no longer having panic attacks and nightmares, and to sort of outward appearances, I seemed like a fairly mentally stable person. So one of the major things I did was I just focused on connection, making friends, being in contact with people all the time, because I knew that that was something that I really need. I am very extroverted, and it was a huge part of my healing journey. It's not the only thing I did. There's things I did with nutrition and supplements and etc. etc. And some of that is still ongoing, because I've discovered there's still some underlying issues that need to be addressed. But basically, the reason why I wanted to run the Ballarat Marathon again was to raise money for Heart on My Sleeve, and to raise some awareness about the connection between mental health and autoimmune conditions. And this is not to say that everyone with an autoimmune condition is going to have a mental health condition. That is a very simplistic way of looking at it, and the mechanisms are really quite complex. But there does tend to be a predisposition when there's a mental health condition as well. The other thing is that actually, having your immune system be overactive like that can also predispose you to mental health issues. But yeah, so I want to raise money for Heart on My Sleeve, draw awareness to what they're doing, but I also want to draw awareness to that link between mental health and immune function. And also, I really wanted to share my story so that other people know that remission is actually possible, and the research is out there if you're wanting to have a look. And I've got resources providing that, but just to give people hope. I think this is one of the big issues that we have with autoimmune disease and even mental health diagnoses, is that people aren't given a lot of hope. They're told that it's all genetic and they're going to be stuck this way for life, and that their only option is to go on medication. It just isn't true. So, I hope that if you've watched this, you found it helpful and informative. I hope that you spread the word with others who maybe are looking for a little bit more hope in their life and with their circumstances. And please show me some support. Even just $1 could help, and just get the word out there. All right, thank you. Bye.